Testing, testing. I had the wrong one on last time. You have to talk even louder. No, I never pause. Hello.
If they're using an old sign, I can see why.
I do too. I'm overwhelmed. It's just another, it's just, it's pylon is what it is. That's exactly. Maybe that's better. Yeah, oh wow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of like Home Alone, when they're counting before they get in the Home Alone.
This is for the 626.
626. Hang on a minute. Mary, it's okay. I'll ask you.
Glad he's here today.
Yes, he was.
Good morning. How are you? I'm good. How are you? Good morning. It is October 1st, and this is the meeting of the Historic Preservation Board, Denison, Texas. All members are present, so we do have a quorum. Items for individual consideration. A, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on approving the minutes from the September 3rd, 2024 meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the September 3rd, 2024 meeting.
Second. Have a motion by Rhonda Bourne, a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. B, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A to place signage on the facade of 311 West Main Street.
Thank you. This is a request for Monarch Boutique, who is switching locations from down in the 200 block to the 300 block, right across the street from us, and they are reusing the same sign. You will note that the sign on the current location, there are no transom windows or any windows that the sign is encroaching upon. This one does a little bit, and the city ordinance states that a maximum size of 48 square feet is appropriate for the size of the sign in comparison to the width of the building, and this one is 51 square feet. Due to this, staff does not recommend approval. However, the Historic Preservation Board can make or issue a variance depending on your conversations. So with that, I will leave it up for discussion.
Is there any logistical way for them to reduce the size of that sign?
Without cutting some of it off? That would be a question for the applicant, I think.
It's not lit, is it?
It is not lit.
We're talking 3 square feet.
And as it is in the photograph is to scale, correct? Like it doesn't impede any of the lighting from those windows or
Nope.
anything like that? It just touches the beam?
Mm-hmm.
And the sign has been approved before.
Correct. Based upon the size of the location compared to the width of the building at this. So each building width can vary, right? And so the sign,
Really, the only thing that's changed is the building.
Correct.
We're gonna put it on, otherwise the
Right.
sign would be in compliance.
Right.
And with the new resolution, can this board authorize a variance?
yes,
And the facade square footage is the same, it's just the space that it's going in.
that's right.
So it encroaches up a little bit in the upper windows and in the beams going across.
Correct.
I personally have no issue with it being 3 square feet larger because of just the span, an average of 3 feet, square foot.
Since it's been approved before, it's,
Yeah, the only thing, and I'm not arguing against it, I don't see this like the lights or the halo lighting as opening Pandora's box. I see this as a one-off.
wrong button.
And I think it kind of breaks it up too and gives it a little bit, little added flair, if you will.
Well, then I would move to approve the variance and the request for the certificate of appropriateness to place the signage on the facade of 311 West Main Street.
A second?
I have a motion by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Rhonda Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item C, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for C of A to place a wrought iron fence and drinking fountain along the Austin Avenue side of 130 West Woodard to create a patio area.
Thank you. If you recall, this is Driggs Liquor by Earnhardt Built, I think is what the title of the sign is up there. They came before us for an exterior facade improvements a few months ago, and now they are coming to you all for a wrought iron fence to have a patio dining area, as well as to install a drinking fountain on the south side of that image, which would be towards the horse's axe for the drinking fountain. They are also working with the planning and zoning department to have a food truck located there, so that's part of the reason the dining area is needed, so that people have a place to sit. There is enough right-of-way in that area. They will have to meet the zoning setbacks, but there's still enough space. It's pretty wide over there. The wrought iron fence is 3 feet high and will just serve as that enclosed seating area. Staff does recommend approval of this request. However, we are still waiting on a inspection of the stucco, I believe, before that fence permit can be issued, to make sure that there are no issues when people sit there. The applicant has been made aware of that, I believe, right? Okay. So just wanted to make you all aware of that as we move forward with this request.
So ours would be the approval pending the
Correct.
inspection.
Was there stucco there before, or what was the?
You replaced the stucco, I believe, or took down whatever, I can't remember was on the exterior at the moment.
It's a adult block building, and they had put metal over it.
That's
Mr.
right.
Arnhart, just so we put it on the record, yes. Introduce your name and your address. And
Jonathan Earnhardt, 110 South Houston Avenue. Yeah, so they had covered at some point the building with metal, and we took that metal down. And it's actually not stucco. It's very similar to stucco. Since the structure's already built, it's a little bit different. It looks just like stucco. It kind of goes on like stucco. It's a little classified as a little different, but that's just kind of technical information. But it's the way you put it on is a little different. So we're having to get all that straightened out with the manufacturer to get it in there, to get it approved with the city. But
What was behind the metal before?
it's like a those center block building is what it was. Painted center block. It still had the old signs painted on there and whatnot. So I also wanted to talk about that fence a little bit. This I don't know why it wasn't given back to me before I approved them putting it in. That fence, the picture that they did show was a little different than we really wanted. I did want to go sideways with the bars, so I just wanted to let you know that. if there's a difference, so y'all can note it, whether we can or not. A lot of those are fence panels or pre-made, like weak fence panels. This is on Austin Avenue. It's just high traffic area. We kind of want to make something a little stronger, just in case someone's wheels falls off, make you feel safe if you are sitting there, you know, that it's not just those cheap wrought iron panels. It will be actual wrought iron that we weld together, something a little bit stronger than that. So some of the bars might be a little bit bigger, just depending on what we go through. They might even be bigger on the taller side and kind of go down smaller there, or we can do them straight there. But it's a way that we built on some second floor tall buildings we did to get extra strength. And again, this isn't to keep kids from falling down or off a patio or something. It's just really to keep any debris that might come off a vehicle or something from hitting anybody sitting there. So it might vary a little bit, and sideways is one of that way. But we can probably still build it strong up and down too. Just it'd take more of a base plate and a top plate versus those just being thin bars that show on the others that you see. It would really be more like a 2-inch bar, top and bottom then, instead of that is thin. And
So
again,
you would do horizontal instead of vertical, but you haven't really finalized the plan yet as
Yep.
far as the design.
hadn't finalized it, wanted to kind of get it approved before we had someone go through. The other thing is that we might vary is, we're not trying to enclose it in the sense that it's completely enclosed. We want it inviting. This is not just for that food truck. It's for anybody downtown who wants to come, bring their dog and sit. You know, you can go get food from down the road and come here and eat. It's going to have some sort of signage that says that, like community sitting area by us or something, you know, something that says like you don't have to be a customer of Driggs to eat there. It's for everybody, sort of more like by an area that by Earnhardt built sponsored for public use, you know. Our food truck's only going to be there once a week. It's more like a promotional type thing. So it's just going to be to try to have a more inviting little area and, you know, bring up marketing for us. So we may leave the ends open, but again, it's also, we want people to feel safe when they have their kids there, that they won't just run around the corner towards a busy street. So we may still close it in, even though we want to kind of keep it open so it's inviting more, just like a protection of something going in. So it might even have just like 3 or 4 feet that go down the side, not gates or something, just so we can try to make it look as inviting as possible, not like, hey, it's our property, stay off, don't come in the fence type thing.
And no concern about 1 or 2 or more individuals buying their fifth and coming around and sitting there?
I would think so. I mean, to me, I don't think it would be that inviting because you're on such a busy road, you know, where someone that's probably really going to get hammered or something goes off. But I mean,
They'll probably
anything.
be arrested if
What?
that's the, if
Yeah.
that's not allowed, so,
I would hope the police being that close.
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, so technically they would be off premises because it wouldn't be the Driggs. It would be part of the food truck area lease, so it would be separated.
Do you have an entrance or exit into that court from the?
No.
Okay, so that's totally separate. They can't
Totally.
come out of the store into that area. 'Cause
Correct.
if they did, that is on site.
Yeah, so it's totally separate. The only 2 doors we have are front and rear. This will be separate, and the food truck will be along parallel with that, and that will be a separate lease option for the food truck, and separate leases.
Really, this is a place for the people that visit the food truck to go eat, as much as anything.
Yeah, a big part of that, and again, it would be a lot of wasted time if we just allowed it for the food truck or wasted space. That's why we're like trying to make it welcoming for people downtown. And then the water fountain, a lot of the restaurants don't have outside dining yet. I know we're kind of pushing for that. But that way if you have your dogs or something, it's actual water fountain with a dog bowl built in the bottom. So people can come grab their, Subway or something. Instead of sitting inside, they could sit outside and with their animals and stuff like that.
Any chance you're gonna have shading?
I mean, we've looked at shade options, but we didn't know. We'll definitely have umbrellas probably, but, we really wanted to do kind of up and over shaded where we do posts that go all the way up. But I'm not sure why they didn't put it in and then do a shade, but I think it was like we were gonna start with umbrellas and see where it went.
Yeah, I think Donna and her downtown design guide can help you with
Oh, great. Yeah, we didn't even, I mean, we talked to Donna, but not about the design.
We ought to talk to Donna.
Yeah.
I think it's very pretty, by the way. It's very
Thank-
nice. Aesthetically, it's nice to dress up that corner a little bit more. The building looks great too. Your contribution to that, it's really nice looking.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it just makes it look more inviting for people passing through in Austin, like, hey, downtown, we're trying to make it where you hang out. It actually is on Austin, so it will get a lot of visibility.
So two things for the board that I would question. Should we not approve at this point until he comes back with his
Sign sketch.
final plan?
Yeah, with the fit sketch or the
Mhm.
fence design.
Right. And can we go ahead and approve until he's had approval for the stucco?
A conditional
Mhm.
approval or a table?
Either or, open to discussion.
What is it you need to get started?
On the stucco, finishing the stucco part,
The fence.
to get started, well, the city said they won't issue a permit, is what she was saying on that, so we'd have to get that finalized, approved on that classification. The problem we're having is stucco has like a wire mesh and a seal and stuff in it. Since this was an overlay, the city asked for a certificate, and then since this was a different product, that company says they don't give a certificate, they give certifications for the building. So now the city's asking for like a third-party kind of verification type thing, so we're gonna go to a third party or an engineer next. I think we just decided to go to an engineer to make sure that it was put on in accordance the way that it's designed to be put on, and then turn that into them. Because they added those 2 steps for those inspections work, and there was no steps in our process because we don't do that.
Very much like the Schaefer building, I'm okay with that, but the design of a horizontal fencing for the historic preservation part, I think I might want to wait until I can see the design.
Also, is the only outstanding permitting issue just the stucco, or is there anything else?
Just the stucco.
Yeah, and I'm fine if y'all just want to approve what's pictured, the up and down, and then if we want to do the horizontal, we can bring it back to have it re-evaluated.
So perhaps approval with the condition regarding the inspection that's outstanding, and then table the design, the fence design?
You don't need to do that. If you're going to table the design, that is a separate issue, right? The fence still is not going to move forward. So, but if you were,
Still.
I see.
yes,
Mhm.
So I guess I would rather table it till we see the final design.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I would approve the project, but I would approve the project if I saw the design.
And the materials, is it cable, is it wood, is it metal and wood?
Yeah.
so you had mentioned, that they didn't send back to you the or the horizontal images. Is that am I correct in that?
Yeah, so we obviously sent that to someone else to draw it up, and I told them to do it both ways, and I just think they just did it one way. And it's not like we're stuck on the vertical, but it was just a one that we did based on another project, that we thought was neat. So pretty much the bars just go long ways instead of short ways, but like I said, we don't
So they're
have
not
to do it that
panels.
way. What?
They're not panels, they're not,
Yeah, neither way I would build it as a panel, because those panels are just real thin metal. So even if I built this, I would just do it with a heavier metal, which the appearance wouldn't be different. They do it's just thicker on the inside. These are like, maybe a 1/16 of an inch versus what we use, maybe a 1/4 of an inch. But the outside dimension stays the same. They're probably 1/4 inch square tubing. It just gets thicker on the inside. So you wouldn't really see appearance difference. It would, except for what you can't even tell from these details. Normally those cheap panels just kind of have a small screw that hold them to a post. Ours would be welded and solid difference. It wouldn't make an appearance difference in the sense of the vertical if we went with this design here.
Mr. Earnhardt, might it be a consideration when you look at designing it to in fact move the tables and chairs closer to the wall and perhaps have some sort of visual landscaping in addition to the fence, like you have landscaping against the wall now, but it seems to me that one, for the interest of shade, that would perhaps be more accessible if you were closer to the wall. And two, I think there would be a sense of greater security being that bit more further from a busy street. Is that something that you might consider? Does that render what you're thinking not the same concept?
Well, we've already done the landscaping towards the building. It's kind of designed to match
it's
towards the
already
building.
stuck?
Yeah, so it's kind of there type thing. And then the fountain has to go up next to the building too. And then we wanted the walkway in between, where we're reverting it would be totally different. Design altogether,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'd be more inclined to table it until we can see a design. Does that be in the form of a motion?
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we table this item until we see the exact design.
Second.
I have a proposal by Steve Riley and a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
If you can get that to me, those final designs, I'll get it on the next agenda as soon as you have them.
Yep, and then, so the one question I do have, is there anything against it being vertical? I mean, is there something against it worth that effort? Just rather than y'all seeing it, I didn't know if that was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
modern or
Your
something.
picture. Oh, go one more. There you go. Where Eagle has theirs vertical.
I mean, horizontal, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, I just was making sure there wasn't like, oh, it doesn't match kind of the other one downtown or anything like that before we put a lot of effort
Especially
into it.
since you interjected that you thought it might have greater stability.
Yeah, and it's just that way you can put those solid posts, and I want them thicker posts, and I think the drawer just, obviously takes what they can pull from somewhere and instead of taking the time drawing
But
it all.
as far as appearance, we have no issue with it.
Yeah, nobody brought it.
All right, perfect. Well, thank y'all.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Can I ask a city question about that as well? Just more about the city, not. Is there a gauge of tubing that Mr. Earnhardt needs to be equipped with for it to be street facing or anything like that? A weight of gauge, okay, just one.
As long as you can pass the 4-inch, can't pass the 4-inch spear through it, so kids don't get stuck.
But the gauge of post tubing, any of that's not for him to, okay, I'd
Just
hate for you to come back.
And that would be looked at during the permitting process.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a week, 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Item D, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a CO of A to remodel the rear elevation of 626 West Main Street.
I do have one comment regarding this one.
Okay.
The letter references 626, the application references 526, just to make it consistent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That may have been an error on my part. Let me see.
One is
Because
saw
the
that.
design here
Yep.
says 626.
Yes,
Charlie's letter says 626.
okay, and, yeah,
I'm,
in
I'm
his
a
application, it is 6'2".
for the building itself, but Mr. Shearer's address, office is 526.
Yes, but, yeah. So the property is 626,
So
yes.
Google Maps says it that way too.
Then we have a 624 and a 526 on there, so there may have just been some confusion,
like,
but the
what's a parking
property is
lot?
626 West Main. Okay. Okay, this is the rear of the building that used to house a furniture design shop. And due to a change in the use and the occupancy load, the tenant is required to have a second point of egress. So this is to address that issue. You will see that there's currently a garage door. Could you take your conversation outside, please? Thank you. it just makes it a little difficult to hear. There is an overhead garage door there, and so you will see that the image is proposing that there are two fixed glass, more horizontally shaped windows that look to be at height level, I guess, eye level, and then a single entry door on the right-hand side. That opening where the garage door wall is now will be framed, and then there will be some masonry there, a CMU wall that will be painted with the paint chip color that Chairman Solomon has with her. It's a tan color. And so the applicant is seeking approval to have those improvements made to have that rear access. It's similar to what's on the building already. It'll just match, or the whole thing will be painted to match. And we have Lexi here in place of Charlie Shearer, should you have any questions for her.
You have any other pictures there, Sam or Grant? Okay.
Any questions or discussion?
Did I miss the material that'll be used on this? Is it metal frame?
It is a wood frame and CMU blocks, similar to what's there. Will be framing in the windows and the door.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is the rear.
This is the rear, yep.
Unless there's any other discussion there, Madam Chairman, I would move that we approve the request for certificate of appropriateness to remodel the rear elevation of 626 West Main.
Second.
Have a motion by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, approved.
Good job, Lexi.
Item E, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A to make exterior facade improvements to 427 West Main Street.
Thank you. You have seen this structure before you several times now.
Several times.
Yes, 427 West Main. We are looking at doing facade renovations, adding the rooftop fencing for a third story, if you will, third story patio with a staircase down the rear and then down the west side in the back. I had asked the applicant to submit again because we have had several meetings on this, and I really just wanted to get off to a fresh start on what we're doing with this one so that we're all on the same page. So there were some exterior improvements approved back in 2023, and then we had some other hiccups along the way. So this is what is being proposed. It's a center entry double door with transom windows. The arch second story windows are different than what was approved before. They were strictly rectangular, so the arch is present and that is staying. They are re-adding in the transom windows, and that's what the demolition and what's boarded up now, that's what we were trying to figure out, if that was still in existence and things like that. The current building has a left side recessed entry, and so historically, if you look at some of the older images, you'll see, it's hard to tell, but there is a centered entry double door there. So they are taking it back to what it historically looked like and what's appropriate for that space. And we do have Ms. Furman
Yes.
with us today.
Yep. Megan Furman. My husband and myself are the building owners.
And your address?
Just for the record, your address?
427 West Main.
Thank you.
Well, I applaud you for taking it back historically. And I know we have talked several times on this, and we even mentioned a center entrance versus a left entrance, and transom windows.
Yep.
You're retaining the arch windows, I think is great, and we've already talked about the handrail at the top. And I know there's several people excited to see what kind of restaurant's gonna go in there and eating place, so
Yes, and the main difference between the last time we were here and now is the awnings over between the transom windows and the street windows. And we were never really going to do the rectangular windows before. I think that was just an oversight on our architect's part, but we are keeping the window shape the same. We're gonna replace those with new windows. Currently, the wood that's all around those is rotted in a lot of places, and it just wasn't really well maintained, but we're gonna keep the exact same look as it is now. It'll just be a new window. And then, that'll also kind of tie in with the newer windows on the lower part, so it'll all kind of have a cohesive look. But the awnings are really the main thing that we didn't get approved previously. Colors and all of that, we still are gonna have be the same
same as,
previously when it was approved.
that was the only question I had, is that the only thing I see is metal awnings. And it looks like they are going to be anchored.
Correct.
Just for the record, the paint colors that were approved in the past were the Sherwin-Williams Roycroft Mist Gray. Is that for the trim, I believe?
That's the
right?
trim, yep, and then
Okay.
the green. And I had my paint chips, I left them in my car when I walked over here. I do have a rendering, it's from a sign company, so please ignore the signage, this is not what we're doing. But I can at least show you the colors
That would
on
be
here,
helpful,
if
I
that
think.
would help.
The other color is Rookwood Dark Green.
Yeah, so the green would be the majority of the building, and then that light gray color would be the trim part.
It's pretty.
And then the windows would have black.
Okay, it will be black trim, okay. Do you know which material? I think in the past it had been approved as a, black iron framing? Is that
Yeah, it'll
what
be
you're
a
still
metal or
doing?
iron,
Okay.
yes.
3 separate awnings.
Correct.
That is historic.
Thank you for bringing such a well-thought-out and attractive design.
Oh, well, it's been a long time in
Well,
the making.
Well, you've done a good job.
Yeah, well, thank you. We're excited to finally get it done, so, yes.
Are the awnings straight out? Are they angled? How are
Straight
they-
out.
Straight out.
And I don't have the exact dimensions on those, I can always follow up with that information, but it's more decorative, it's not really gonna serve a purpose, there's not room there for a patio, especially with the new sidewalk design, so that's not the intention of those, it's more of a decorative element. So I can get the exact dimensions.
Yeah, I'm assuming they'd be smaller, not the depth of what we see as a single unit that comes all the way out over the sidewalk.
Right,
More
yeah.
decorative, okay.
Yep.
Thank you. What do you see as your time frame on that? To get started?
If we can get the certificate of appropriateness from you all in the next day or two, we have to go in through full permitting and then get going. I mean,
I bet you're
probably-
ready.
Yes, 6 to 8 months. I know that might be pushing it, but that's what I'm hoping for.
It's gonna
You
be
can apply
very
today
nice.
if they
Yeah.
approve it.
Kevin's planning on it. Yeah, he was like, "We have it ready." He's like, "Please just let me know how it goes." So,
back there.
oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, he knows.
I move to approve the request for certificate of appropriateness to make exterior facade improvements to 427 West Main Street.
Second.
I move to approve the certificate of appropriateness to make, the request for certificate of appropriateness to make exterior facade improvements to 427 West Main Street.
Okay, so we have a motion by Rhonda Bourne, and who's my second from?
She's on a roll today.
Linda Anderson's on a roll today, is our second. All in favor?
Aye.
I
Motion
think it's my
carries.
third
Thank
second.
And does this, just a quick question, does this also include the back as we have it right here in this drawing? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. All right, thank you guys.
The whole
you.
shebang.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Whole enchilada. Item F, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A to add signage to the awning of 226 West Main Street, Suite 101.
I'll need to recuse myself.
Suite 201,
Any of them?
would you say?
Or not, did you say 226?
Yes,
I
you
do.
need to
I-
recuse yourself.
That's, I was just letting her know. Yeah.
Yep.
Anything in that building.
Oh, okay.
This is a certificate of appropriateness request to add signage to 226 West Main where Usher and Co. has opened up. They are asking to place a metal sign perpendicularly attached to the awning with their name, apparel, gift, and home logo there. The sign is 92 inches wide by 23 inches high and has vinyl graphics in the colors of white and black. Staff does recommend approval of this request as it meets the ordinance for the appropriate size. One item that I would like to bring to your attention is that there is a second business over to the left that does not have matching signage. So I don't know if that is a concern to have it look similar for you, but that was something I did want to point out.
Yeah, and looking at it, I wouldn't call it complimentary, but I would not call it distracting. The question that I have, and I'm glad that Donna is here, is if I believe the Main Street ordinance is you can have a sign that has your name on it. And we, in talking with Deviled Egg Cocktails and Appetizers, I think, they said that that was part of their name. My question is Usher and Company Apparel, Gift and Home their name?
That is a sign ordinance. If it is, then they can have it, and if it is not, it cannot be on there.
Do we know?
I do not know. You did verify it? Right, that's what we were
Right.
saying.
So clearly that needs to be determined.
Correct.
I mean, if I were to go on Mr. Google and see Usher and Company, is it gonna say apparel,
It
gift and home?
did. I did check it.
Or, from what we did from the first one, this would be a variance.
Mhm.
Never wanna get the compliance folks mad at us.
Yeah.
It is not part of their name, apparel, gift, and home.
Then I guess I would recommend tabling it until we go back and talk to them and say, hey.
Make it comply.
We could table it, or we could say.
Without that.
Conditional
without-
approval.
Conditional without that, and just do Usher and Company.
And one assumes that there will also be window vinyl graphics, and that would be a place at which those words could be incorporated,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
descriptor.
Three words.
They're already on the doors.
I was just saying, the
Okay,
summary, it's
well,
already there when I
yes,
looked at it. yeah.
Even better.
But I would also say, in doing so, then they would probably want to come back and do larger letters on that sign too, rather than making a smaller sign.
Yeah, and I'd be okay with that. So conditional approval
The
That's
other
what I'm hearing.
locations
You
are
want table or
simply,
conditional approval?
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
Their other signs at their other locations in Atoka and Durant have just Usher and Co. with just the letters and the black outline.
Outline. So that would be keeping in with their other brand.
Which has been acceptable to them on other occasions.
So table or
I think we
conditional?
table it until they come back with the right one.
So if they come back with the appropriate one, I have the authority to approve it.
That was gonna be.
Oh,
And so,
Yeah.
and I'll just go on record of saying, the reason there's so many signs on here today was because I was not comfortable approving some and not approving others. When we have so many of a certain size, I did not want it to appear that some were based on just what I felt was appropriate at the time. I wanted them all to come before you.
Okay.
so do we have to have a vote saying no, but
No, we
if they were to
don't.
take things off, it would be approved?
That's correct.
No, we have a vote saying yes, but.
Or no, but? I'm asking.
I would say yes,
With their.
but without the apparel, gift, and home.
And I would assume, excuse me, I would assume then, and this may be what Ms. Solomon was implying, that given the removing that line of type, the size of the sign itself would seem to me to be concomitantly reduced, which would give me comfort.
Or reversely, the sign stays the same and the letters are bigger, conversely.
That wouldn't
Or
give
stays
me
the same, but
such
smaller but
Yeah.
lower?
comfort.
So what would we be comfortable with, larger letters?
No, I think the letters are appropriately proportioned to the size of that entrance. And I think aesthetically, I would feel more comfortable if in fact the height was in some way reduced because a line of type has been removed. I still like the line underneath Usher and Co. It still gets to be blocked in the rectangle. But I'm not sure the size of that entryway justifies a sign that doesn't need any longer to be that big. So I would ask in my coming back, and they might present two different solutions, but I would request, please, a solution that made the sign be smaller because that line of font was removed.
So, for a motion, if we have to have it, conditional approval with final approval from the Housing Preservation Officer. Is that what I thought I heard?
Yep, can do that.
If we're comfortable with that, that way leave it up to Mary to ensure that the size and lettering is proportionally correct.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay,
Okay, let me think about this.
I hear you. I hear all of you.
I know you do, thank you.
Then I move to approve the request for the certificate of appropriateness to add signs to the awning of 226 West Main, conditioned upon only including the name of the company and size that is appropriate with final approval at the Historic Preservation Officer.
Perfect.
Second.
I have a motion by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Steve Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Did you get that, Samantha?
Thank you.
Thank you. We want to get Rhonda back in.
Thank you, Tony.
Item G, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A to add signage to 127 West Main Street.
Thank you. This request is for the Black Sheep Cigar Lounge. So we have seen this design before. This is now located next to the Horses Axe at 127 West Main Street. They have already had their graphics approved, so those are there, and it's the sign that they are requesting approval of today is the one that is on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. It is a black metal, which will be affixed to the space above their door. There is a light fixture that will be, so the sign will be downlit from above. The one thing we do need from them is the measurement of the space above the door to make sure that the sign is of the appropriate size by ordinance. That is something that the building official will also look for on their sign permit. So if you do approve it, that's not something we have to put within the motion. That is something that'll be verified at time of permit as well, just so you know. There are a few of those coming up in these cases. And so that may be something we need to add to our application process to make sure that we're capturing that information. But again, the logo is the same. It's almost like a black sheet metal that's punched out with the lettering. So it'll come through, the building side will come through.
So that building is how wide?
The entire thing?
Well,
Or
I guess
just
I'm
the
just looking
portion?
I'm just looking at that portion.
Yes.
I have a little problem approving a concept. To your point about, we don't really know what the dimensions are.
This one is 4 feet by 5 feet.
Okay.
That's what they're proposing,
The sign.
the sign.
And that's within the sign ordinance?
Or,
It has to meet the building width, the ratio that Kirk calculates. But that's what they're proposing, the 4 by 5. So if they were to submit their permit for the 4 by 5, he needs to know the exact width to make sure that the ratio works out to what the proper square footage is. And then they may have to adapt it based upon his feedback.
So you just wouldn't approve the permit?
Right,
So they're looking at that space opposed to
the
the
entire,
entire Horses
correct.
Axe building.
right, because they have 2 separate businesses.
Right.
Mhm.
It seems that the quality of the signage will be good.
And as long as we're not governing or having to ensure the dimensions,
And we can do that in-house.
well, they will.
Right, through a separate process.
That's we.
Okay, good, excellent.
We're all we up in here. Thank you.
So again, would that be like a conditional, no? Okay.
Well, I move to approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness to add signage to 127 West Main Street.
I'll second it.
Motion by Rhonda Bourne, a second by Kurt Chakowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. H? Nope. Where are we? Yes, H.
Yes.
Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A to add signage to 401 West Main Street.
Thank you. This is a sign for Dance Explosion Studio. The measurements that were in your packet, we received new ones yesterday afternoon. So the proposed sign is 7 feet wide by 1 foot high. And you'll see the colors, it's the green, and this is a halo lit sign, which means it is not internally lit, as we have discussed. So it will look similar to that of Premier Baby Imaging and the City Hall signs. However, it is the green color. It won't be the white or the black with the halo lit lighting around it. They had a sign there before that was neon tube lighting, and when they went back to repaint the front facade, they took that down, and so they're now requesting to have a sign back up there in similar colors, but of different materials. And so again, it's 7 by 1, not what was in your packet.
And do we know the full frontage width?
Do not.
So again, permitting here.
Correct.
So to me, it's just that we have, when we did the city hall and then baby imaging, this is the next logical one with the halo lighting. The green, the chartreuse green is the prior color. And the length will be governed by the permitting process. So unless there's some reason, some outstanding reason to say no, I don't know how we not continue.
I think I agree with you.
I would prefer that the backlighting not be that acid green, but I think once again, that's something over which we do not have parvenu.
Yep.
So that's just interjection of opinion.
In the past, we've talked about lumens, and do we know what the brightness
Oh, lumens?
would be?
So I do not know that, and Kirk and I discussed this yesterday. We do not have staff capacity to be measuring lumens on buildings, nor the expertise of that. So at this point in time, I don't know how we request that.
Yeah.
I wonder, there's probably not even any city ordinance on.
It is not,
brightness of
so
sign.
I
You
can't
just wait till you get the
legally
complaints from the loft
request
owners.
that.
Yeah.
If you're only blinded 10 feet away is okay. It's farther than that,
I think it's a good move. I think it's going to draw attention that's necessary. I consider evening drivers, night drivers, dropping off, picking up children and adults. So I think it's regardless of the color agreement or not, I think it's a good addition to that corner to light it up as well.
Perfect.
It does break up that block shape.
Yeah, and it's way better than that long expanse of empty.
Well, I know she was approved for awnings at one time
Correct.
over the windows.
Nothing further, but I'd make a motion, we approve the request for the certificate of appropriateness to add the signage to 501 West
401.
401. Oh, and
I second.
Second. I have a motion by Steve Riley and a second by Rhonda Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
sorry.
Now we're on
Now
501.
we're at 501, not bad.
I, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a C of A to add signage to 501 West Main Street.
And on this, do I need to recuse since I
Yes.
was, okay.
Chris, do you need a separate form for this one? It is.
Again, it looks like it's third one in a row. You need the full frontage length. But we could still approve it, just the permitting won't happen unless they have to adjust the size.
That is correct. This is a request for a sign for a tobacco vape shop on the corner of 501 West Main. The sign is in that green color. Currently, it is a blue where that transom, it's referred to as the transom area. That's that pulled out section. Or it's gray. I'm so sorry. Sam's giving me.
They changed the
Yeah.
color.
Used to be.
And so it would be the gray background, I'm hoping. But I don't know that.
It is.
Okay, it is. The signage right now states discount tobacco mart, vape, CBD, kratom, cig. And it would also have the same logo on the side, it's a smaller part, but you can see it on the image to the right. Same exact sign, just smaller lettering. Then also on the windows, they are requesting graphics that have their 1-inch white vinyl with the hours of operation.
I see down in the background, we don't know whether it's lit or not.
I do not know whether it's lit or not. It did not indicate any type of lighting. However, that street light is right there. And this section has not been, is next coming through for D3, so I don't know what light posts will be there eventually. If it'll be the same location or anything like that, but there was no indication of any lighting
So
on the application.
the applicant hasn't indicated whether it's going to be any lighting
No.
at all.
Okay.
So I would therefore move, my vote would depend upon that. Depending upon what kind of lighting, we're going to assume it is not going to lit for this.
Right,
motion.
if they came in for, or if we saw lighting there, we would go back and ask them to take it down because that's not what was being approved today.
Okay.
Or to come back through.
And we would be on the permitting side?
Yes,
Good job, Kurt.
and then if they wanted to add light fixtures, they'd have to come back before all of you, yes.
Okay, any other discussion? Have a motion?
I move that we approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness to add signage both in the transom and on the windows for 501 West Main Street.
Second.
If I could interject just a moment, Donna just
Hold that thought.
Donna just let me know that vape, CBD, kratom, and cig is not part of the business name. So it would have to be discount
you.
tobacco mart only.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Donna.
So scratch that motion,
Yes.
Well,
You can amend the motion.
amend it,
yeah,
yeah,
I think we have to
amend it.
amend it. I don't think we can scratch it.
Oh, the original motion was to approve the request for certificate of appropriateness to add signage both in the transom and windows of 501 West Main Street. Now, do we have to vote on that to amend it, or do we just amend it prior to voting?
Amend it prior to voting.
Correct, you didn't vote yet.
Do I amend my own motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, quick question though, would that then, with that in mind, would they do something different with the lettering size on discount tobacco?
We won't know that until we go back to
Go
them.
back, okay, okay.
That's right, there is no vote. And now I'm requesting to amend the motion to approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness to add signage both in the transom and on the windows, with the transom window only having the business name for 501 West Main Street.
Second.
Motion by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Steve Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Staff updates?
One moment, sorry, I'm catching up on my notes.
Oh, yep.
Who was the second on that? I'm sorry.
Steve?
Thank you. Okay. I had a request to let you all know about when your term limits are up and who is expiring here at the end of the year. And let me pull that up.
And this is because of the new city resolution.
So Chris has put into place board and commission policies and a process for which applicants can express interest and apply, so that we have a more standardized and formalized process for selections of our board and commission. So yes, and it's just good for you all to know when your terms are coming up and what the next steps may be. So I'm just going to go through and let you know, each of you, just for your own knowledge. Linda, you will be up at the end of 2025, and you will have to take some time off from the Historic Preservation Board at that point in time. Everyone else is eligible to serve another term. Kirsten Solomon, your term expires December 31st, 2024. Steve Riley, you also expire, not you, your term.
It's not so far-fetched.
December 31st of 2024. Kurt, you are also December 31st of 2024. And Rhonda, you are December 31st of 2025. So for the three of you that are expiring at the end of the year, you are eligible to serve another term. So we will ask that you submit another application to Ms. Wallentine, and she will get that into her process and make sure that we are doing things correctly and as we should be.
Just for my other board members, only because serving on another board where this was announced, you need to go online, you need to fill out the application, and then we will be interviewed in November. Did I have that correct?
That's correct.
And is that all five of us, Christine?
No.
No, just the three that have terms coming up.
That is providing you want to.
That's correct.
Well, the absence of an application on 31 October. But I think Mary would kind of like to know if you're not going to, so we could solicit somebody
That is
to.
correct. Yes. Yes.
We'll be doing a campaign on our webpage.
Sure.
Boards and commissions and the open period policy.
Right.
I'd say open season, but it sounds too much like hunting.
Right.
Well, depends how you look at it, right?
Thank you, Christine.
Is there another slide there? Oh, okay. That is all.
That is it.
That is
Step
all
up,
we
please.
have for you. Thank you all.
1:01 PM, this adjourns the meeting of the Historic Preservation Board.